Hey, sis, grab your tea, get comfortable, and let's have a real conversation. Here's the truth: you can't keep making the same choices and expect to get a different life. You just can't do it. So, in tonight's conversation, why your life isn't changing, the choices you have to make if you want a different life, I want to talk to you tonight about being intentional. Most of us didn't intentionally choose the life we're currently living. So, sis, tonight I want you to know that we created this life by making one choice, one decision at a time. And tonight you're going to learn that it's going to require you to show up differently so that you can have a different life. I'm Dr. T, and I am here to help you choose differently. I'm here to help you create a different life. You know the life that you secretly think about, the life that you secretly dream about, the life that you've told yourself that you can't have. Why? Because you're busy being everything for everybody else. But tonight, sis, listen, you are going to begin to make different choices. Here's the truth: we say yes when we wanted to say no. Tell the truth, you did, sis. You stayed when you really wanted to leave. Tell the truth, you've done that, sis. You kept putting yourself last and you kept postponing your dreams. Tell the truth, sis. You've done that. Am I the only one that's done that? Am I the only one who's postponed my dreams? Am I the only one who tried to fit in somebody else's box? Am I the only one who let go of who I really am so that I could be everything else for everybody? Maybe I'm the only one who did that. But after tonight, I want you to do what I've done. And guess what? That's simply to make a different choice. So we've accepted things because they've been familiar to us. Yeah, you've accepted life the way that life is now. Familiarity breeds what? Contempt. Mm, mm, mm. Let me say that again. Familiarity breeds content. You're content right now, but there's something on the inside that's burning in you that says, girl, this ain't it. Girl, this ain't the life you signed up for. Girl, when you were old enough to even begin to dream your dreams, here's the truth: you dreamed something different, but you've talked yourself out of it. Living new choices can help create the life you want. Let me say that again. Living new choices, meaning you've got to make new choices, meaning you've got to show up differently. Here's the truth: you've got to choose different. So here are 4 choices you're going to have to make to create a different life. Number 1, you have to choose yourself without guilt. Let me say that again. You have to choose yourself without guilt. A lot of women have been conditioned to believe, let's be honest, we've been conditioned. I'm saying a lot of us, we've been conditioned to believe that everybody gets served first. And when everybody gets served first, guess who gets the leftovers? I don't know about you all, but my husband doesn't like leftovers. He doesn't. I can make something one time. He might eat it twice, but by that third day, he's like, I'm over these leftovers now. And here's the truth: you're feeding yourself leftovers. Let me say that one more time. You're giving everybody else everything they need, but sis, you're giving yourself the leftovers. The problem is that sometimes there's not even any leftovers left to give you. You've exhausted yourself. You've exhausted everything you have, only to find out there may be very little leftover or no leftovers at all. See, it's easy for you to spend $200 on somebody else, but when it comes to spending $100 on yourself, you feel guilty about it. What is that all about, sis? Why are you feeling guilty about taking care of yourself? You've got to choose yourself without feeling guilty about the choice you've made. That's the first choice you're going to have to make: choosing you without guilt. Why do you believe that everybody else's needs deserve immediate attention while yours can wait? Why is that? Where did you learn that from? Where did you learn that it's okay to put yourself on the back burner? Where did you learn it's okay to eat leftovers? Where did you learn it's okay to exhaust your energy on other people so that you have nothing for yourself? Where did you learn that? So here's the second choice you're going to have to make. You ready for this? The second choice is simply this. You're going to have to say no to everybody else so that you can say yes to yourself. You're exhausted because you've said yes to too many things to too many people. That's why you're exhausted. You've exhausted your yeses to everybody else, and now no feels uncomfortable to you. Can I be honest with you? A yes is going to cost you, sis. That's right. A yes is going to cost you. A yes cost you your time. A yes cost you your energy. A yes cost you your attention. And sometimes, sis, a yes even will cost you your peace. That's the truth. That's the truth. Let me say that again. A yes can even cost you your peace. So how many times have you been sitting there saying yes to all of these things only to realize, wait a minute, I'm exhausted. Like I'm overwhelmed. Like I'm booked and busy, but I don't even have time for me. Because sometimes we know what we want to do, but we still do what we are familiar with doing. Yeah, you do that. So here's what I want you to think about. What if you made a different choice? What if you honestly said to yourself, you know what? I'm going to choose different. I'm going to be different. I'm going to choose different. I'm going to do something now that I've never done before, and it's going to feel different. What if you could really do that? What if you could really take yourself out of yourself? What if you could have a conversation with your future self? And in having that conversation with your future self, there are some choices that she tells you that you actually have to make now to get you to your future self. What if she told you that? What if she comes back to you and your future self says to you, sis, you remember back in 2026? As a matter of fact, what's today? August the 9th, 2026, when you were faced with this choice. And instead of doing what you really wanted to do, you chose what you've always done. But if you had made a different choice, here's what would happen. What if you did that? What if you could actually have this conversation with your future self? What would she say to you? What would she share with you? What would she say to you that would make you make a different choice today? See, that's what creating a different life looks like. You have to choose you before you choose anybody else. And that's counterintuitive for us. Here's the third thing that I want you to think about. You have to choose your purpose over people's approval. See, your people will have you to think that whatever your purpose is nowhere near as important as what they really want you to do. See, they are not going to change what they have always done. They're not going to do that. But when you recognize your purpose, you recognize that you cannot design the life that you want by living by other people's approval. Your life that you've created, because you've created this life with your choices, the life that you created now was created because of the choices you made for other people. But if you choose differently, if you choose you first, if you choose you and say that, you know what, I'm going to do things differently. Yeah, I'm going to choose my purpose over their approval. Guess what actually shows up? The life by design that you really want. And here's the fourth choice that you might actually have to make your life different. You have to choose your own growth over what's familiar. See, familiarity, I told you that earlier, breeds content. When you continue to make the same choices over and over and over again, you've grown content in the way that you feel. You've grown content in the exhaustion. You've grown content in the frustration. You think it's normal to feel this way. Sis, that's not normal. Living intentionally may mean doing something that feels uncomfortable because becoming somebody you've never been before is going to require you to show up differently. It's going to require you to make different decisions. It's going to require you to make different choices. Since I don't want you to leave here tonight feeling inspired, what I want is a different life for you. I want a life that's created by you, for you, and you did it by one decision at a time. See, one decision, a dramatic decision, doesn't change a life. It didn't take one dramatic decision to get you to this point. What it took was for you to make decision over decision over decision over decision again, years in the making. So, what is it going to require to have a different life? I'm glad you asked. It's going to require you to catch yourself in the moment that you're making a choice. That's right. Day in and day out, you're making choices. You're making choices whether or not you're going to empty your bank account. You're making choices whether or not you're going to take the kids to daycare or be the babysitter for the week. You're making choices whether or not you're going to give up your resting time to do something for somebody else. You're making choices whether or not you're going to go register for that class in college that you really want to take. You're making choices whether or not you're going to write the book. You're making choices whether or not you're going to open the restaurant or even begin to sell those baked goods. You're making choices as to whether or not you think your art is good enough to sell. You're making choices to listen to people who don't even know the new version of you that you're trying to be now. Yeah, you're choosing all of that. But here's the truth, sis. You're never going to see that future version of you continuing to make the choices that you're making now. See, it was the choices in your 20s, your 30s, your 40s, and for some of us, even in our 50s, that have brought you to this point. You know, the point where you lay awake at night wondering why your life is the way it is. You know, the time when you're driving in your car and you're having those conversations with yourself. Why am I going to this job that I really hate? Why am I hanging out with these friends who I feel like are not giving me what I need, right? These are choices that you're continuing to make, and you're doing it because it's so familiar to you. It's what you've always done. And here's what my trainer always says. If you continue to do what you've always done, you're going to continue to get the results you've always gotten, which is being overweight, out of shape, and not feeling good. But in order to change that, you've got to change the choices you make. So instead of choosing the Oreos, Tracy, you got to choose the protein shake. Instead of choosing the gummy bears, Tracy, yeah, right. You've got to choose the cucumbers, the carrots, and the hummus. You've got to start choosing different. And I know that feels unsafe. But here's the thing. In order to live the life that you design, it's going to require you to choose different. So here's my challenge to you this week. My challenge to you this week is to make one choice. Not 10 choices, not 20 choices, just one. So maybe this week you choose no instead of yes. Maybe this week you choose rest instead of being busy for everybody else. Maybe this week you choose to make the phone call that you need to make to somebody instead of ignoring and keeping the peace. Maybe this week you choose to do some research on the class or the grant that you want to write in order to open up the business that you want to open up. Maybe this week you set the boundary so that they don't keep doing what they've always done. This week, I want you to choose you. So when you think about the life that you dream about, it's not a huge decision, chickie. It's not. It's one decision that you've got to make. One decision at a time to show up for you. It's not a huge life-changing, earth-shattering decision, but it does require you to be intentional. You've got to be intentional about the way that you're showing up. So this week, When choice shows up, I want you to gently challenge yourself. Am I going to make the choice that I've always made? And am I going to do what I've always done? And I'm going to choose familiarity over something that's totally new and different? Because every time you make a choice to either give to others or to give to yourself. This week, I want you to choose the gift to give to you. This week, one choice, sis. So pull out your journal, and I want you to answer this question this week. What choice do I need to make this week to choose me? That's your question this week. What choice do I need to make this week to choose me? Here's the thing. Here's what I know. And I'm sharing this with you. Here's the secret. Don't tell anybody I told you this, sis. Here's the secret. The choice that you run away from, that's the choice that you really need to make. That's the one. The choice that you keep running from, that's the choice you really need to make. That's the choice that's going to help to catapult you to start making different choices. So now you begin to live a different life. Life is different when you change your choices. Life begins to show up differently when you make choices, guess what? That keep you first on your list. So sis, your next chapter, it's not that far away. Believe it or not, your next chapter is one choice away. I hope you enjoyed this time together tonight. I hope you got something out of these 4 choices that you are going to have to make to live life differently. Here's the thing. We've got to hold ourselves accountable, not because nobody else is doing it, but because you deserve the life that you want. And believe it or not, your next chapter isn't waiting on permission. It's really waiting on you to make a decision. You don't have to figure it out tonight. Life doesn't unfold in 24 hours. But with every choice that you make differently, your life begins to show differently. You're not going to reinvent yourself in 24 hours. But here's the thing, life will begin to look different when you start making different choices. So this week, when choice shows up, take a breath and ask yourself, what would the future version of me choose in this moment? I think you're going to surprise yourself this week, sis. Remember, we're here every Sunday night, 7 o'clock, Tea Talk with Dr. T. If this video resonated with you, I want you to share this video with your sister. There's a sister that you have that needs to know that she's got some different choices she needs to make. And sis, you're making a choice tonight by sharing this video with her. That's the first thing I want you to do. Here's the second thing I want you to do. If you are watching me on Facebook, I want you to scoot on over to my YouTube channel. There are lots of videos there. There are lots of podcast episodes over there where I've talked with different women who have made different choices. And now they are showing up differently in their own lives. One boundary, one no, one choice at a time. I want you to choose you this week. In addition to that, I also want you to put you at the top of your list. Until next week, do it right. Do it you. And remember, put you at the top of your list, sis. Nobody else will. Have a good night. And I'll see you next week with the next Tea Talk.